Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. I'd like everybody to take a moment, if you'd like to check in on social media, let everybody know where you are, but also make sure you turn your phones off, take an hour off, enjoy your time, and get to have a little time with all your fellow Rotarians here. I'd like to ask Pat Sheehan to come to the podium and deliver a reflection and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pat.
Good afternoon. This reflection is in honor of Foundation Day. When I was a kid, our family lived in a small town just upriver from the city of Pittsburgh. And when I was 10 years old, my brother Rob and I got our first jobs as paper boys delivering the Pittsburgh Press. We had about 50 customers, and I think we made about 2 cents a paper. So $1 a day, 50 cents each a day, and we were fired up, to put our big boy pants on and finally earn some real cash. Now, our mother had taught us well the lessons of frugality, and we knew most of that money was going to go toward our college savings account, but we had some big plans with the remaining proceeds. And at the top of our list was to get on a bus to go into the city to see our beloved Pittsburgh Pirates play and our hero Roberto Clemente play baseball. So we were all set. And then one day, our father came to us and wanted to have a talk with us. And Dad was the pastor at the local church we attended. And, when you're a 10-year-old boy, having a talk with your dad's not your favorite thing, right? But, over time, learn that Dad's always right, Mom's always right, and we move on. So when Dad had this talk with us, I really don't remember the details of the conversation at all, but I remember the lesson very well. And I'm going to make this up, but it probably went something like this. You guys are really lucky to have a job. And it's important when you earn an income that you give back to others. A good rule of thumb is to give 10% of your earnings to others. It could be the church, it could be a local charity or a combination. And so you guys are making 50 cents a day. 10% of that is 5 cents. You should each give 5 cents a day to others. And Mr. Jones, who works at the steel mill, he might give $2 a day. And Mr. Ostermeyer, who's an exec at the steel company, he might give $20 a day. The absolute amount of your gift doesn't matter. What matters is that everybody participates to the best of their ability. And you know what? At the end of the day, after you save for college and give some back, you'll still have enough left to have some fun and go see the Pirates play. Oh, yeah, I love that. Love it. Pirate fans? But there we go. So anyway, over time I've learned, and I think we've all learned, that the members of any vibrant club, whether it be a church or a Rotary club, give in 3 ways: with their time, their talent, and their treasure. And I like to think of those 3 elements of giving as like the legs on a 3-legged stool. You need all 3 to have a solid stool. In summary, a couple of observations. Number 1, from my own personal experience, this act of giving is not always easy. The resources of time and treasure can ebb and flow over time, but what's important is that we each do what we can when we can. Secondly, I know that there's a seat at this Rotary table for each of us, whether we're the proverbial paper boy, the mill worker, or the exec. And if each of us does what we can when we can, I know this club is going to continue to do some really amazing things. Real quick, let's pray. Dear God, thank you for this club and our foundation and the opportunity to serve our local community and your children all over the world. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
fellow Rotarians. On behalf of Sunshine Communities today, and Pat, thank you for that reflection, we would like to give back to you. And so we're going to be playing, that was the national anthem, we're going to be playing 2 more songs for you today. We're across from Fifth Third Field, so of course we're going to play Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Right. And then we're going to finish with I Love to See You Smile. Sunshine Communities has been a recipient for many decades from the Toledo Rotary Foundation, and we are very appreciative of that. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. If that doesn't kind of give you some tingles down the spine, I don't know what will. So, as we begin our meeting today, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Equitable Advisors as this month's sponsor and Rotarian Jason Harris. Jason, thank you. So we're going to jump right into this. Before I do, we normally would introduce guests, but we have quite a few and we have a fairly limited time frame. So thank you to all the guests who are here today. Glad you could be with us. I'd like to ask Foundation Chairman Jim Layman to come to the podium for today's program. Jim.
Okay, first, there we go. Well, thank you for being here, everyone. I'm very grateful for everybody that took the time to come to this meeting. I know Foundation Day might not stir a lot of emotions in people, but I'm still privileged to be here to present on behalf of our foundation, and it's because we have a good story to tell. The foundation is literally the heart and soul of our organization. We're able to truly make a difference in our community because of the generosity of those who came before us, and our ability to continue these good works is dependent on the success of our efforts today and in the coming months. Here's my agenda for today. Maybe. Where do I point this thing? There we go. Am I pointing it at you? Da 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 da. Well, can you advance them, Zach? I think it's a pretty short. Go to the next one. Quick agenda. I'm going to recognize all the other foundation trustees. I'm going to do an overview that is going to be real riveting and short on details. If you want a lot of details, I've prepared a pretty comprehensive summary that's on the tables in front of you. Then we have a testimonial that Phil Mariassi put together that does a good job of giving everyone a good feeling about the projects that we support. And then Chuck Stocking is going to present our annual campaign for this year. So let's go to the next. These are our foundation trustees. By definition or by our bylaws, 3 of them have to be past presidents of the club, 3 of them have to be past board members of the club, and 3 of them are members at large. So if we could have each of these members stand. Uh-oh. Mike, I didn't see Mike. Is Mike here? Don't think so. Dick Wolf? Okay, how about Brent? I know Brent's here. Alex is here. Brian Kennedy, past chair. Sherry Sears is not here today. Dean Neese and Joe Tefelsky. So you've heard the saying, no man can whistle a symphony. I cannot do this job without a great board, everybody pitching in their own special talents. So with that, let's go into my overview. The foundation was set up as a 501c3 separate from the club so that people could make tax-deductible contributions. That's the main purpose. The foundation, through the club committees, funds grants to local charities to address needs of our community. Last year's budget was $244,000. This year's budget is about $273,000 for grants that are going to support various programs in our community. Simple math tells you in 4 years we will be putting $1 million into programs in our community. So we have a lot to be proud of here, and we are obligated to keep that ball rolling. Next. We have 3 donor-advised funds that are owned and managed by the Greater Toledo Community Foundation. Our primary fund has just over $4 million in it. And that was built up through various campaigns, various legacy gifts, major donors. We have another fund for Partners in Education, which is a program that we set up, I don't know, how long ago, Chuck? 30 years ago. It's a way to supplement the educational resources in our community. We spin off 5% of that balance once a year to support that project. And we have another transformational fund that has money that was raised through special campaigns to support projects that are bigger than our normal types of grants. Typically, these could be anywhere from $20,000 to $300,000 in the past. So that's the money that we have. Next. How do we determine how much we're going to give away each year? Well, 5% of the average of the past 12 quarters in the primary fund gets added to the average of the past 3 annual campaigns, and then we subtract our administrative expenses. So you can see at the bottom, we end up with just over $273,000 to give away this year. You can see the bulk, two-thirds of that is at 205 that comes from the average. It's 5% of the average balance in the primary fund. There we go. And the final thing that I want you all to know is, how are these grants selected? A lot of people that have been in the club for a while know this, but we have the services of the Greater Toledo Community Foundation receiving the applications. People go to their website, fill out the application. GTCF decides which committee it belongs to of our 7 committees that are listed on the handout in front of you. And 3 times a year, well, not before that, the committees will go out and visit each of the grant applicants to learn more about what their programs are and learn how we can best help them. 3 times a year, the Foundation Advisory Committee meets, where the chairman of each of the service committees comes together with their grant applications, and that's where the arm wrestling over how much money is going to go to each one. We've been fortunate to be able to fund the vast majority of the grant applications that come to the table, so we're real happy about that. The Foundation Advisory Committee will then make recommendations to the trustees, who will then direct the Greater Toledo Community Foundation to actually write the checks. So that, in a nutshell, is why we exist, what we have to work with, and how we do what we do. Phil Moriarty has taken great efforts to put together a nice video for us to offer testimonials on some of the grants that we've funded recently. So, Zach, if you could light that up.
There's a lot of work to do out there, and a lot of supporters needed to make it happen.
Your support of the foundation in general allows you to actually touch parts of the city, hearts of people in the city that otherwise might not be as supported.
We have these remarkable Rotary experiences that can be milestones in our individual lives, and we can do it here, right here in Toledo Rotary.
The Rotary Club of Toledo was established in 1912, and by 1918, we'd set our sights on community impact. An impact that continues to this day. In the past fiscal cycle, the Toledo Rotary Foundation granted nearly $245,000 to more than 30 organizations serving Northwest Ohio.
We can't underestimate the impact that Rotary at the local level and global level makes, but it's also the impact it makes on each of us as Rotarians and how we personally engage. It's not an impersonal contribution going to a big organization, but it's provides us with an opportunity to make a difference.
Our foundation granted Sunshine Communities $10,000 for medical equipment.
So for the last 75 years, Sunshine Communities has been supporting individuals with developmental disabilities, but what many people may not know is that a vast majority of those individuals have serious medical complications that require additional support.
Sunshine Children's Home was founded in 1950 by the parents of 5 children, all of whom were born with developmental disabilities. Today's Sunshine Communities serves about 250 children and adults in Northwest Ohio, including 59 living on the original but expanded campus. They will benefit from the automatic defibrillators, bladder scanners, and a crash cart.
Next year, Sunshine Communities will celebrate our 75th year. We couldn't do that without the support of local organizations and local foundations like the Toledo Rotary. Without their support, we truly could not operate and fulfill our mission of supporting individuals with developmental disabilities.
We granted Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Northwest Ohio $10,000 to fund its Empowering Future Leaders program.
As a response to the impact that COVID had on our communities, also with the public unrest and the recession. The program was designed to help our youth overcome some of these here challenges associated with those 3 incidents and centered around turning our youth into leaders. Because we all know that leaders make better decisions, and also leaders are very productive in the community.
Over 1,800 school kids will participate in the Future Leaders program. The grant pays for books, journals, and art kits.
There's plenty of data talking about how it teaches a child to self-express, to control emotions, to build self-esteem. So when they get that art kit, we train them how to use it in the program, then they take it home. That's a long-lasting impact they have. Art kits we use, craft kits, STEM kits. Also, during the height of COVID, we all learned just how certain households are impacted for lack of technology. All of our graduates walk away with a tablet to where they can continue to learn in the space out beyond the program.
This is the Same Cafe at the downtown Toledo Library. Same stands for So All May Eat, but it's not a soup kitchen.
It was really born out of the idea that there had to be a more dignified way to bring everyone to the same table. Oftentimes there are stigmas associated with food pantries, soup kitchens, things like that. And the original founders wanted a way to really comfortably and easily bring everyone into a space where they could participate and enjoy a meal regardless of where they came from and what they had.
We granted Same Cafe $10,000 to launch its Cook to Work program, which will prepare 150 students for jobs in the food service industry. In addition to preparing a vulnerable population for meaningful employment, the program addresses current labor shortages, especially for restaurants.
After they're done with the course, they should be able to get entry-level food service jobs really anywhere, but also the skills built into it are very customer service focused so that they can also get entry-level customer service jobs as well.
Nuestra Gente and Water for Ishmael are 2 programs that serve immigrant populations.
Nuestra Gente is a Latino nonprofit organization established in Lucas County 2008, and our mission is to promote the culture, the arts in our community, and also to serve immigrants.
We granted Nuestra Gente $10,000 for security cameras at its community center on Broadway in Toledo's historic South District.
It was a huge need that we knew in our community center because we want to protect the building, secure the building itself, and also protect our clients. Sometimes we work late nights here, sometimes weekends, and we need to have security in our building.
So the story of Water for Ishmael comes actually from the Old Testament. It's a story about a young boy and his mother who were sent away from the home, and they were in the desert, and the young boy was about to die because they had run out of provision. And the mother didn't want to watch her son die. His name was Ishmael. And in that story, it says that God heard the boy crying, and he provided the water that the boy needed to survive in the desert. And so the concept behind Water for Ishmael is the concept of people on a journey who are in need of some very practical help. in order to complete that journey and be successful.
Water for Ishmael also received funding for security upgrades.
Honestly, school safety across the nation is an important thing, but we serve a population that is sometimes discriminated against and sometimes a target for terrorism. So we want to make sure that our clients are safe in the building.
Without the supporters from people like Toledo Rotary, this work couldn't get done. We couldn't do what we do for the animals without that support.
Yes, Toledo Rotary helps animals and the environment too. We granted Nature's Nursery $10,000. A new wildlife rehabilitation and education center on Dutch Road in Waterville replaces the original undersized facility near White House.
Nature's Nursery received a grant from the Toledo Rotary Foundation for support of our new admissions office at our new building. The admissions office sees several thousand people per year that come in and admit animals. Currently, Nature's Nursery takes in almost 3,700 animals per year, and being the first impression they have of us as they step into the doors into that admissions office is really important to build their trust and make sure that they're comfortable leaving that animal that they found in need of care with us.
All of this and uncounted millions more, courtesy of Toledo Rotarians like you, and every dollar counts. The goal for this year's Toledo Rotary Foundation campaign is $125,000 and 100% participation.
Well, one example of a smaller donation making a significant impact is as minor as a $10 contribution, giving us the ability to buy another box of nails for a habitat house.
It's an interesting metaphor. A $10 box of nails can hold an entire house together, and your contribution to the foundation can help hold together the entire community we call home.
And we're so grateful for those foundations that support our programs, because it's not all about the money, it's about helping others.
Thank you. Thanks, Phil. Nice job. Now, if I get my... Now I'd like to introduce Chuck Stocking, who's our campaign chair this year, and he's got some good comments for us.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you to everybody who's here today. I'm very honored to have been asked to do this job. A lot of people would not like the job of having to raise money, but I think it's an awesome opportunity and a privilege. Before I begin, though, I'd like to acknowledge a vital set of linkages that we appreciate so much. It's our relationship to students in the Toledo Interact program at St. Francis, as well as the Toledo Rotary Club, which is for university and young professionals. So I'd like to ask those students who are here today from Interact and Toledo Rotary to please stand. Let's give them a round of applause. We're so grateful to have you here because you are the future and the present as well. So many great ideas for projects that Rotary does come out of high school and university students. So we're grateful, and we encourage you to think about what your club can do to engage with the challenges that we face as a world, as a community. A perfect example of that was in June. This club and other Rotary resources in the region sponsored a program at the University of Toledo for Toledo Excel students. These are inner city young people, and Isabella Wyke, who is the chair of the Rotaract program, was one of the speakers at that, really encouraging these young underrepresented minorities from the inner city to embrace the opportunities that are in front of them. And the remarks were really outstanding. But out of that came a survey of these students about the issues that were of greatest concern to them. This is the substance of what we want to do as an organization, is to address the concerns not only of today but tomorrow and tomorrow's students. So I have a list that I will share with you all later, but I'd encourage the Rotaractors and Interactors to think deeply about the 19 subject areas that were of great concern to the students in our community and to the future leaders of this community. So thank you again for being here. It's a privilege always to work with the young folks. So one might ask the question, why? That's why with a question mark. But I think that needs to be replaced with why with an exclamation mark. I think all of us have had experience with the activities of Rotary and see the remarkable things that Rotary does. But of most importance and interest to me, so if you want to go to the next slide, is two elements of Rotary which I think make it so endearing and so vitally important in this time in global citizenship, where we have a world that's quite divided and lots of factions and so forth going on, but to have the unity which we all feel. Think about it, 1,400,000 Rotarians all around the world share these principles: service above self. In an age of what's about for me, we're turning it around, and Rotary leads the charge in terms of doing projects that don't have anything to do with myself, but have to do with helping others. And secondly, a wonderful test for how do we move forward in peacemaking. Kurt Church has been a very faithful advocate of the Peace Committee in this club. But how do we get to peace if we cannot decide what is true? And Rotarians, 1,400,000 of them all around the world, are dedicated to finding out what in the world is true. That gives us a lot to love, I think, and that's why with an exclamation mark, why I love Rotary. So, as we think about what can we do about this campaign, we're all about raising the resources so that projects that the Interact Club or the Rotaract Club or our own committees might generate have the funds or resources that we can fund those projects. In addition to being a grant-making organization, we're an action-stimulating organization. So we know that we have younger members who maybe not be able to afford the $10,000 that Travis is committing. No, did I say that? Oh. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. It's someplace later in the script here. So, but they might not have that much money that they can contribute. But a little bit of funding support is very appreciative. But perhaps more valuable to all of our efforts, our collective efforts, is the time and talent they have to share, to lead the thought to where the need is today, and the talents to operate in this digital world that is such a conundrum for me. I have a difficult time doing that. But that thought about time, talent, and treasure, and I think it's all three. We can all contribute one of those three, and I think as a club, we want everybody in our club and all those we know, too, invite them in. They don't have to necessarily be members of Rotary, but you can tell the story about what Rotary does. So we want 100% of our members who support the financial goal of achieving $125,000 a year. This year, that should not be unachievable. That should be very achievable. So that 1.4 million we're going to put to work in ways, and I thought it would be interesting for us to think about the examples that we have in our own experience in which Rotary activity has really moved the needle. So if we think strategically about what Rotary has done in this community, we need only think back to the early 1900s, in which children's disabilities and so forth was a crying need and there was nobody there. But Rotary came forward and supported the establishment of Glendale Fieldbox School. And ultimately, for some of you who may not know this, it's quite fascinating that out of that interest in activities for crippled children came ultimately the Crippled Children's Society and Easter Seals eventually. And ultimately, it ended up as a driving force or a driving seed of inspiration that started the Polio Plus program For those of you who are students, polio, you may not recognize polio as an issue, but when I was growing up, it was a serious issue for every young person. And they had all these myths about what you needed to do to protect yourself from polio. But Rotary saw that there, with the Jonas Salk vaccine, that there was something that we could do. And Rotary was a leading light in this effort globally to eradicate polio. Today, all around the world, there's at least 260,000 children every day who are saved from the ravages of the polio epidemic. That's an enormous economic value to their local communities, and it happened because polio led the Rotary International and Toledo Rotary did its part in a very big way by starting the ball moving in that direction, but then every year thereafter financially supporting that effort. So think about it. I think there's 2 or 3 cases that have been reported in the whole world today. It wouldn't have happened, and no other organization, no government, no non-governmental agency in the world would have been able to do it on their own, but Rotary did it. So give yourself a hand for that. So that's why I ask for your support for what this foundation does and needs to continue to fire up the engine of Rotary's good works. And so I ask you to think deeply about what you can do. Stretch a little bit as well. That we should really blow through that objective of $125,000. So I thought it would be interesting to also share a story that epitomizes what Rotary can do and what this club has done. And I'm hoping that through the year we'll have a number of what I would call 1-minute reviews of what Rotary has done in the area of taking the resources, financial resources, and the talents and the time of its members to really move the needle. So here's why. The year was 2010. I think that year was Brad Rubini was president of this club. 2010, members of this club were approached by a vice president of Rotary International, Louis Picconi, with a deep question. Can you help us? We know about your MESA program in Northwest Ohio. Can you take the lead in pulling together dialysis equipment for a country that has virtually no dialysis equipment? Well, that's quite a challenge, you know, and it involves a lot. So, but because we have a connection with other Rotary clubs in the area, Maumee particularly, but also with the University of Toledo, we were able to collect what would be called retired dialysis equipment, retired water purification equipment, and have it all checked out, and to package it up and work arrangements through MESA, our Medical Equipment and Supplies Abroad affiliate for Rotary in Northwest Ohio, and ship this over to Nigeria. Nigeria is the country. We had, in the interim, been requested by two former presidents of Rotary International, one of which was Jonathan Majiabgi. Jonathan Majiabgi was the Rotary International president from Nigeria. He himself suffered from kidney failure. Without this equipment, he was toast. And so Rotary put it together, and here's what it looked like. Gratefully, Nagi Naganathan, maybe some of you remember him, he was head of the engineering department at the University of Toledo. He put his team to work verifying that the equipment was operable and effective and could be used. We packaged it up and shipped, I think, 2 containers to Abuja, Nigeria. This took a lot of coordination, but in the end, you see here, this is what it looked like. A full container of this dialysis equipment and water purification equipment went to Nigeria. Next slide. And there you have a team of folks. Interestingly enough, we had one prince, a prince from Nigeria, Seji Lufadeju, That's easy for me to say. Jonathan Majiabgi, Bonnerly, who was from India, who was another president of Rotary International who had requested this assistance, and a fellow who was the ambassador from Nigeria to China. They were all on board to accept this equipment and to thank Toledo Rotary and Rotary and Mesa from Northwest Ohio. Next slide. So that's, if you want to know what a prince looks like, the guy on the left hand is Seiji Lufadeju, and he's a prince. Wolo Koker is the Nigerian ambassador to China, and Jonathan Majiabgi is the gentleman on the right. They greeted us. Subsequently to the shipment, which occurred in 2011, a whole team of about 20 people from Nigeria came to Toledo and sponsored a dinner to thank everybody in Mesa and Toledo Rotary and the Maumee Rotary Club for what they had done to change the course of events. That's why. With an exclamation mark. That's why we give it to our foundation. Murph, I think you were on that team in 2010, 2011. It's a spectacular story. And there's a post note for that. In 2013, I had to go to China for some business, and the Rotary International Convention was in Bangkok that year, so I said, you know, it's only an inch away on a map, you know. I'll just drop down to Bangkok, you know. So I went to Bangkok to this meeting, and there was Jonathan Majiabgi in his wheelchair. And I went to him and explained who I was, and he was so grateful for what Rotary had done for them in Nigeria and for him personally. Our effort created the largest dialysis center in sub-Saharan Africa. That's what your contribution to this foundation does. So in the end, that's what I ask for you, is to know exactly why. Why you give to the Toledo Rotary Foundation, because we make a huge difference. That's why we can provide nails, and I think our campaign is we're going to nail this campaign, you know, so, but if you'd like a nail as a reminder of this little presentation, you're welcome to come and get a nail, but think about what we can do collectively if we hold hands and do the things that the world needs in a time of great divisiveness. We can all hold hands and be one powerful impact in the world of Rotary, the world of Toledo, the world we serve. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Chuck. And thanks for your efforts today and in the coming months especially. And seems appropriate to ask Keith to come up and make a check presentation to get the ball rolling here. We're not going to hit everybody for your checkbooks today, but Keith happened to have a donation from the golf tournament.
It's not a check, it's cash, and I want it out of my hands quick. If you're familiar with golf, there's a thing called skins, and the Rotary Golf League has skins that they play for throughout the year. This year at the end of the league, which happened Friday, we asked each one, if they didn't want the money, to let's donate it to the foundation. So there's $400 in skins from the Rotary Golf League that we're helping to kick off. Oh, and Brad wanted me to remind you, we didn't give them any names because, like Steve Miller, you didn't get a thing. So don't take this as your contribution. Take this as the Rotary Golf League giving to the foundation. There you are, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, today's our day to be happy and proud about what we accomplish through our foundation. We've seen good examples of how the money gets used, and I'm hoping that we can get through to everyone to make a donation of some kind. 100% participation means an awful lot to us. That's almost as important as the $125,000 total. But we can get there if everyone participates. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. If not, oh, John.
You know, with the number of new members, Chuck, maybe you could comment on the Paul Harris Fellowships. We've always pushed that and how that factors in to Rotary International.
Well, I think I'll take that one if you don't mind, Chuck, since I got the microphone. Paul Harris Fellow is a donation of up to $1,000, not up to, a donation of $1,000 in up to 1 year. That money goes into the permanent endowment fund to fund future and ongoing efforts. Is that what you were after, John? Good. Well, okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope you're as enthusiastic about this as our team is. We've got a good project to go ahead of us, but I think we're going to make it. So, thank you very much.
I don't feel short very often. Damn, man. Jim, Chuck, thank you very much. You know, I get asked all the time by non-Rotarians why I care. They're like, you know, so you belong to this club, you go have fun, right? I'm like, we do have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. But I care because of exactly what they just talked about. It is the impact in the world that this club and all Rotary clubs in the world make. We are making the world better. We are changing people's lives. And if that isn't enough, I don't know what is. And so, again, thank you so much for all the work you do. Thank you to all of you for the impact that you make in this club and to our foundation. There is no meeting next week due to Columbus Day. So we will see you in a couple weeks when we have the State of the Club presentation, our second annual State of the Club. Give you an update on everything we have going on within the actual club itself. I'm sorry, I lost my place. We have a lot going on this week. So tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. they have Coffee Connection at Plate 1 here downtown. At 9:30 we have Zoo Day. So everyone, if you could please come and help. Students from St. Francis, thank you for helping us as well. We'll be taking the students from Glendale Fieldbach to zoo. So 9:30, and we will meet at the main entrance of the zoo. And then, Tommy, where are you? Hey, Tommy, what's on Wednesday?
Monday. It's fun night for starting bowling. Bowling will start in earnest.
Yep. So. Come find the mayor of bowling. Bowling starts on Wednesday. Again, I've said it 100 times. If you haven't bowled, go bowl. It's fun. It's great. And yeah, go do the bowling. We have 3 committee meetings this afternoon. Environmental Services will be meeting in Summit A, Program in Summit B, and Membership in Summit D. Go out, create hope, make an impact, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody.